Hey, 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 welcome to Structure and Flow, the productivity podcast for creative entrepreneurs. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan. I'm Flow.
I think I'm Structure.
I think he's Structure.
My brain's not feeling very structured right now.
It's not feeling very structured. It's feeling pretty chaotic, which is what we're going to talk about in the next episode. Not this one.
Today we're talking about exercise.
Exercise and productivity.
Wait, what does exercise have to do with creativity and productivity?
It has to do everything.
Oh.
Right? Like in the last episode, we shared some of our reflections on diet and the impact of diet on brain function and clarity. And the thing about productivity that we believe to be true is so much of it is a mindset. And part of that mindset is very physical in nature. If you don't feel good, you can't think good.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And in fact, what we can go through here is just what I found with a little bit of research in terms of how there's proven science behind people actually doing better, more creative work with the addition of exercise into their lives.
Yeah, and then how that has played out for us personally. You know, we totally love to share our personal reflections and stories of what's working and what we know should be working and we're not doing as well.
That's the truth.
You want to share the quote?
I do. This one's from Jim Rohn, who you probably heard of.
We hope you've heard of. If not, go check him out.
What do they have him down as? Entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker. He's all of those things. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live.
That's
all you got. It's the only place. You don't get to sort of go out of body. Well, maybe you do, but we don't do that much woo on this podcast, so you're not going to actually get out of body type of experiences.
But it's funny you say that about the woo, because I was looking on a page in a book of a friend of mine here locally. Her website is brittagreenviolet.com, and she has
Is that her name?
That's her website name.
Okay.
So her last name is Gudmundson, and she has a book about Eat Right Now and around what we talked about last time about mindfulness. And I was looking through that, and she had this whole thing about treating your body like a temple. And how do you show up at your place of worship, whether that's a church, a temple, a forest, a beach. You know, it's not about religion, but it's about really seeing your body as a sacred vessel that contains the unique brilliance of who you are.
Absolutely. And I think we're all surrounded by articles and media related to get more exercise and all of this stuff and the benefits of exercise. I think everybody's kind of clear on that.
On the why they should be exercising?
Yeah, well, it definitely gets hammered into us.
Yeah. So why aren't we doing it?
I think people think that they have to do it all. People think that they have to. It's like that whole New Year's resolution type of thing. Go to the gym, you work out like crazy for 3 days straight, and then you can't stand it anymore. You're too sore, and you forget about it altogether. And that's like all habit forming. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is just gradually by adding more and more and more in small increments, and also doing those things in the context, doing exercise in the context of something that you enjoy.
I had this conversation with a group of people yesterday. So Brad and I spent the last few days at an awesome digital marketing conference called Entrepalooza, and was hanging out with some people and talking about exercise and how beneficial weightlifting is to those of us women of a certain age, in particular, to improve bone density and longevity and everything. And one of the women was sharing about how she used to just go so hard and that her body just won't do that anymore. And about really the difference is in her perspective on what just makes her feel better and keeps her healthy and moving. So she walks 5 miles a day.
Right.
She doesn't run. She doesn't go to the gym and, wear herself out, but she really focuses in on what's going to make me feel better. And what I really resonated with her was around this idea Like I walk through my creative ideas. Brad and I have talked about this a lot. I don't feel good if I don't walk every single morning. And it's my time of connection, my time of creative thinking,
Sure.
as well as my physical fitness time and just being outside. We're lucky to live in a place where we have very few excuses to not be able to get outside every day.
So that's a good point, is that adding nature to exercise like that is a fantastic option. There's so many other intangible and tangible benefits from exercising in nature.
Yeah. And it's just this taking time away, time for self, and taking a moment to pause in our otherwise busy days and focus on what makes us feel better. But Brad's done some awesome research on the why exercise, like what's the actual physical reasons why exercise improves both productivity and creativity.
Yeah, I found it interesting. One of the first articles I found, and we're going to list, I'm not going to give you the titles right here, but we'll list them all in the show notes, was a business study done that, and what they found was that you could make a decent case for having your employees have exercise as part of their job. They were so much more functional, so much more creative when they were exercising compared to not exercising. And so, these are the types of things that big business wants to know, because if they could get a 1% improvement in productivity from their workforce, that's a huge amount on the bottom line. Well, that applies to you as well. It applies to us. Although for me at this point, I do so much exercise, I'm not sure whether I'm getting an incremental benefit.
Said the Iron Man. But I think that what you've noticed is that when you don't exercise, you really feel the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like your body's grumpy. You don't have as much focus or clarity during work.
Yeah, I don't even know how to function without exercise at this point for more than just a few days. It's kind of odd for me not to use my body. That's me personally, but I love to have that very physical aspect.
I would say it's me too. I'm just not as extreme about it as he is.
Well, but once again, I built up to that. It took years and years and years to build up to a different level.
I love the connection between memory and exercise. I think this is another really important one. And whether you're a student or a new business owner, or you're trying to connect to clients and you feel like you're trying to hold on to lots of pieces of information, there's physical things that happen in your body when you exercise that actually sharpen your ability to recall information much more quickly and not have to go looking for it.
Yeah. And like we did for the diet stuff, neither of us are dietitians. Neither of us are medical doctors or physical trainers.
So please don't do anything we're saying without talking to your doctor first.
But if you go out there and look at the research, this is real science that shows physical changes to the brain when you exercise, and specifically improved changes to the hippocampus, and I had another one down there, but the parts of your brain related to critical thinking skills, related to memory, related to your creativity. It's just science. It's measured things. This isn't, stuff we're pulling out of a hat. It really happens when you get some exercise. And it's not that much exercise.
Yeah.
That was the interesting point. Typically what they're talking about is 10 minutes of elevated heart rate. So don't think of it.
Because this is very similar to what we talked about with mindfulness as well. So 10 minutes of sitting, meditating, 10 minutes of walking, followed by some mindful eating, add up to a productive day, followed by a great night's sleep.
Oh, yeah,
which
absolutely.
is the end goal. But what I wanted to say about the sharper memory piece was that exercise has been one of the number one things shown to delay the onset of different things from aging, whether that's Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia. All of those are improved, and your chances of having the onset of these happen earlier is diminished by exercise.
Yeah, and what you'll find, the things that Minette just listed earlier in terms of mindfulness, meditation, diet, sleep, exercise, these represent a feedback loop, and it can be a negative,
like an inner neurological feedback loop, like a actual body, or
at all different levels. Mm-hmm. So physiological ones, mental ones, and they can amplify things in a good way or a bad way. Yeah. Some changes you make to your diet or your exercise can be tremendously beneficial and provide you with more than an incremental gain, and they can also, some changes that you make can provide you more than just an incremental decline in your capability based on what you did. Clearly, if you go out and you try and lift a car and you hurt yourself, and then you're on the bench for a long time, that didn't help you.
Yeah, and when we say exercise, that's like a really broad terminology, but there's basically two specific kinds of exercise you should be looking at, which is cardiovascular, which is increasing your heart rate, mm-hmm. where you're walking or jogging or dancing or whatever at a faster clip, but you're still able to talk. It's not about pushing yourself so hard that you're exhausted. And the other one is doing some type of weight-bearing exercise, right? Some type of light weightlifting,
what
even
they call
if it's
anaerobic exercise.
Anaerobic exercise, and that would include using your own body weight for resistance. So we're not saying go join a gym. We're saying that look for creative ways that you can add 10 minutes of strengthening and improved aerobic exercise to your daily regimen.
Yeah, and another thing that Manette hit on earlier is how important it is to have this be fun.
Yeah.
There are a lot of opportunities. You may think that an aerobics class is fun, and then you get there and it's just completely overwhelming. You feel like you're the least fit person there by a long shot. You can't do anything. But there are so many other options. There are low impact aerobics in the pool. There's dancing, like Manette's taken on. Just so many things.
And it's fun and overwhelming because I don't know any of the steps, but I tend to have that attitude of I'm super happy looking goofy and laughing at myself.
Right.
So I'm dancing around in the back of the class going the opposite direction of everybody else, and I'm giggling because if it's not fun, I won't do it. And the truth is the music is phenomenal. The instructor is super, super supportive and fabulous. It's a low impact world dance class. I absolutely love it, even though I look goofy. And even though it's hard and I'm sore afterwards because I haven't done that kind of workout in a long time.
Right.
Right. So, to me, it's in addition to my daily walks, not instead of my daily walks, because my daily walks are about physical exercise as well as mental clarity.
Right. But that's just you. I mean, you, dear listener, you might just want to take the dog out for an extra 10-minute stroll. Just to add that
cat for a walk.
I don't want to walk a cat.
She'd probably come with us.
She'd just lie on the ground and turn into a puddle. But yeah, aim to add that 10 minutes a day. Even if you added 10 minutes extra a week.
To start.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your focus blocks where you just every week, like one week you did 10 minutes and the next week you did 15 minutes.
Right. And you'll slowly get addicted to that. Mm-hmm. Your body will want more of it. And that's when you know that things are working the right way.
Yeah.
Is that you just wake up that day and say, oh, I want to do that again. And that just becomes that positive feedback loop. And once again, to tie this all back together, that makes you more productive. We could argue it, but it's the truth in terms of studies that have been done. It's going to make you more productive in your work. It's worth it. That 10 minutes extra a day or a week is going to translate into more, better, and more creative work.
Yeah, and I wanted to just add a little bit about how exercise can improve creativity. We've talked a lot about how just better mental stamina, clarity, and memory all impact productivity. It's very obvious. But how does it actually impact creativity? It impacts creativity from the perspective of imagination, being able to think and dream about the future. For me, I often listen to a podcast or a book on tape, and there's something about walking and listening that makes my creative brain go crazy. I make new associations between things. I've been listening a lot to The Accidental Creative by Todd Henry lately, both his podcast and his book. And he had a whole plan for what you should be doing every single day to make sure you're delivering brilliant ideas all the time. And he was talking about it more from a study perspective. But one of the things that really struck out for me was how we come up with our ideas is not in a vacuum, but it's from creative association. It's about seeing connections between things. So walking around the neighborhood, there will be something that will spark a new idea.
Right.
Being at the gym and listening to a podcast or some music, it's like when you're not focused on a task, it frees your brain to dream very, very differently.
Oh, yeah. Totally agree. And I think of it too in terms of just from a functional or practical standpoint. If you are someone who's creating things, maybe you're creating at a desk all day, maybe you're standing at an easel, whatever that may be, your physical health impacts whether you're able to just do that task.
Absolutely.
So yes, it's improving your brain health, but gosh, if your back goes bad or you've got carpal tunnel or whatever it is because you're just sitting there all day.
Shoulder from using the mouse on my laptop is killing me.
Yeah, you're not gonna be the creative person that you want to be because you just physically can't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Especially for
get off your butt.
And I think about somebody shared a video on Facebook today that I was mesmerized by, of these people painting giant murals on the side of buildings in some city, and they're hanging from scaffolding and spray painting.
You're going to do that?
No, I don't like heights, so I would not be the one to do that. But it makes you think about that physical piece. If you're a sculptor, if you're a photographer or a videographer, these are physically taxing experiences. Painting, like large scale painting, I love painting big, and it takes more energy. I'm standing up, I'm not sitting down, I'm moving around. It's a lot more physical. I've noticed it takes more just upper body mobility and strength to do that. So I'm very conscious of how I'm feeling in my body and how that impacts my ability to get through the day. I have a bad tendency to just sit at the computer all day and forget to stand up and move around. And by the end of the day, I'm moaning and groaning. And then I don't have any energy or joy to take into family time. Like Brad and I were at a conference all day yesterday, and Maggie wanted to play a game last night. I'm like, no, I'm just not there. I'm not there mentally. I didn't get any exercise. So it impacts family time. And she beat him at cribbage. We have a smart daughter.
Yeah. And quite frankly, as an entrepreneur, as a creative business owner, you need to be more physically able than if you were at a 9-to-5 desk job. Not to say that you don't need to be physically able to do those other things, but entrepreneurism,
because you're not going.
You need to be more.
You're not going to the water cooler.
You need to do more, and physical exercise is going to help you do that.
And I would add to that piece, it's very isolating to be a home-based business owner, which a lot of you may be. Some of you may be working in offices or co-working spaces, but a lot of times, as business owners who work from home, we are even more sedentary. And I would encourage people to get exercise in community. Go for a walk instead of going for a cup of coffee with someone, or go to a dance class so that you're actually seeing human beings. Like, use your exercise to create more engagement in your life, as well as more energy and more productivity.
Yeah, definitely. And, if you want a cheerleader, I will definitely be your cheerleader.
Aww.
Click on the podcast link on pathtoprofitacademy.com. Go to the show notes. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us, what you're doing physically, whether you need help. We'll be in there in the comments. I'm happy to be your cheerleader
as well. So if you've noticed that exercise is really having a positive impact on your productivity already, and you want to share your success story, we'd love to hear that too. And we'd love to have some iTunes comments from you guys and some iTunes love to know that you're liking these topics or not liking them. That's love too, right? Tell us what you want to hear from us. We would love to get some feedback and some juicy goodness from all of you listeners.
Cool stuff. Where are we going with this next week?
So we're going to talk about gamifying productivity. So this will be a really fun one to look at. How can you improve productivity through a better reward system or better gamification?
Awesome. We'll see you there.
All right. Bye-bye.